In this video, I'm asking, what if Games Workshop made models for the Tolkien Second Age? Hello AOS fans, Robin here. I'm back with a video, and I did tease this in an earlier video about my hobby fulfillment, that I'm back talking about the Middle-earth strategy battle game, a game I've never played. A game I do have a few miniatures for. I got some way back when they first released them, when the first films came out, and I bought a few more every now and again. I got excited by the new trailer release or teaser release of the Rings of Power, the Amazon TV series based in Tolkien's world. It's going to be based in the Second Age, and I got excited by that. And I started thinking about, well, what models might we see? I don't know whether GW have the rights to any of that stuff. Possibly they don't. But I would love them to, and I would love them to reinvigorate the game and bring new models to the game and new sculpts, all that kind of stuff. I think it would be amazing. And then I started thinking, well, what models might we see? So I say it's set in the Second Age. The Second Age is quite long. My Tolkien lore is reasonable. It's not great. I may have omitted things and I may make mistakes. I wouldn't class myself as an expert by any stretch of the imagination. The Second Age spans sort of about 3,500 years. And I think it's broadly, I would say, split into three parts. So you've got the first bit, which is kind of like, I don't know much about, but the first bit leads up to the forging of the rings in about 1600. And then you've got the bit between after Sauron's revealed that he's made the One Ring and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got up until the point at which Numenor falls. And then there's a tiny little bit at the end, which is after the fall of Numenor, up until the Battle of the Last Alliance. Which is in the Lord of the Rings, where Sauron, Isildur and Elendil and Gil-galad fight Sauron and cut the ring from his finger. So that's kind of broadly what it is. The new TV series, I haven't read much about it. The new TV series isn't going to be set at that end of things. It could be set in either of the two things. I feel like it's probably going to be set around the time of the forging of the rings, because it is called the Rings of Power, and there is some interplay there and some sort of treachery and all that kind of stuff going on. So I feel like it could easily be set there, but it could be set across two timelines, maybe. I don't know. They do strange things with timelines in TV series these days, because there's a lot of intrigue and whatever in this situation of Numenor, sort of after the Rings of Power have been made. So let's have a little look at what models are available from that era already. So Games Workshop already make, although a lot of the models are either resin or metal, I don't know how easy they get hold of. They seem to be available on their website. They make Isildur and Elendil, they make Gil-galad, they make Elrond, obviously, they make Galadriel and Celeborn, and they make Gandalf. Obviously, I think they've got Gandalf the Grey. There's a Glorfindel model. I didn't realise when I was really into the lore, Glorfindel, there were two. There's one in the Silmarillion and one in the Lord of the Rings. And they were two separate characters. But in later, I don't know, dialogue, appendices, whatever, notes, Gandalf has said that Tolkien has said that they're the same people, same person. So that was news to me. But yes, so there's a Glorfindel model already, and there's an Elrond and Gil-galad pack. And those sculpts are rough, I have to say. They do not look good. And then there's also, in plastic, there is a set of the Last Alliance. So Warriors of the Last Alliance, it's got some elves and the Numenorian kind of Minas Tirith clad fighters. So that's what you've got. And obviously all those people will turn up in the Third Age. But there are other people that they might put in. Now, I also, just as I was about to make this video, Amazon have released a load of new images, they're just like the midriff of people holding weapons. There's one with Sauron, or I assume it's Sauron holding a spiky sword, and there's one with Rohan, which is interesting because Rohan didn't really exist at this time. Not that it really matters; they're doing their own thing. But so I mean, there could be stuff that they're going to do that I've just got no idea on. But this is purely on a Second Age timeline that I found on the internet, and that ties in with the Unfinished Tales and I think possibly the appendix in the Silmarillion. So starting then, I think the earliest we're going to see is around the time of the rings being forged. They were forged by I think one of the sons of Fëanor, who's one of the big heroes from the Silmarillion, Celebrimbor. I think that's how it's pronounced. One of those words that I recognise the shape of and never actually say out loud. Now I've tried to say it. And he forged these rings, and he had help from somebody called Anatar, who I think showed himself as an elf, but was actually Sauron in disguise, and he was kind of sweet-talked his way into this group of artisans who built these amazing things, who were called the Gwaith Ir Mírdan. And they were like Celebrimbor's kind of disciples and artisans, and they all made the rings, and they liked Anatar. There were a few people who were distrustful of him. I think Elrond was distrustful of him. Certainly Círdan, who was mistrustful of him. He's the one who ran in the Grey Havens in the Lord of the Rings. And of course Galadriel, and I think Celeborn as well, but possibly Gandalf. Were all mistrustful of Sauron or Anatar, so they didn't really have anything to do with the forging of the rings, although of course Círdan and Gandalf and Galadriel ended up taking the 3 rings for elven kings. So those characters are almost certainly going to appear. Celebrimbor and the Gwaith Ir Mírdan, it was their aim to bring the light of Valinor into Middle Earth, and that could be represented by, on the poster, there's the 2 trees of Valinor kind of in the background, which kind of maybe would possibly suggests that's what they're trying to do. And those people, they lived close to the dwarves. And then we've got to think about the dwarven rings. So there's 7 dwarven rings were forged. Durin the third, I believe, took one of the rings, but there's still 6 other dwarves. And then we've got nine to go off to humans. And I'm not quite sure, it's not clear to me when exactly these were given out, but they were apparently given to, 3 of them were given to some Númenóreans, and 1 was given to an Easterling king. And so those characters could be in there, so we may see some models for some sort of Númenórean nobles, and we may see some Easterling models given out there. So we could see Anatar model, Sauron with a fair face. Obviously there was a big battle after he'd revealed himself, and after he'd revealed that he had the 1 ring, the dwarves fought him, and before retreating back into the hills of Khazad-dûm and things like that, and the elves fought him as well. So you've got whole options there for armies and captains, and so there's still 6 other dwarves. We've got during the third, 6 other dwarves ended up with rings, and you've got these men and their armies and who they had. So there's options there for new characters in the TV programme, and then also possibly for new models in the Middle-earth strategy battle game. On the Númenórean side of things, there's a whole load of history after the rings were forged. So King Minas Tirith, I think, was born before the rings were forged, and obviously he's got a nice throwback to connection to the later films and books, because he's where Minas Tirith was named from, which I think is a nice thing. So I think we're going to see King Minas Tirith represented in the programme, and therefore I would say as a model, if in this hypothetical world that I'm talking about. So he actually defeated Sauron in 1700, so after the revelation that he'd made the 1 ring. I don't know the details of that, but so he apparently defeated him, and then obviously he was a Númenórean king, so he was king of Númenor. And then there's quite a long history of Númenórean kings, and some of them liked the elves, and some of them were mistrustful and didn't like the elves because of the elves' longevity. They were jealous of the elves' longevity. So you've got all this. This could be happening. This could be in the story, and there's a whole load of kings, which again could be represented as characters and/or models. There's not much in the way of female interest in Tolkien's stories, so they're definitely going to bring that up. There's going to be more stronger female characters. There's one female character who I think was married against her will, had to marry one of the last Númenórean kings, so she possibly would turn up. But again, there is a big gap in the timeline, so it'd be interesting to see if they do it that way. I'm not convinced that they will, but they're the screenwriters, and they know their jobs better than me. But if we did go sort of after the forging of the 1 ring, then we've got a whole load of Númenórean kings. So we've got King Minas Tirith, and we've got these 2 factions. So there's the one who were jealous of the elves and their longevity, and the fact that they could cross the Undying Lands and go back to Valinor, and the Númenóreans couldn't do that. They weren't allowed to do that. And there were various times when Elvish was banned within Númenor, but there was this hidden group called the Faithful, which ultimately Elendil and Isildur were part of the Faithful, and they kept sort of faith, I guess, with the elves and God's plans and the differences between men and elves on Middle Earth. So you've got a whole lot of interaction there, of jealousy and whatever. And then ultimately, one of the big kings, Pharazôn, he ended up defeating Sauron and bringing him back and imprisoning him, but Sauron whispered in his ear, and he ended up with the whole downfall of Númenor. So you've got all that too could go on in this TV program, and again that could open up a whole load of new models. You've got a sort of nasty Sauron model come up. You've got all these Numenorian kings come up, and there's various battles and things took place in those periods of time. And obviously, right at the end, at the Fall of Numenor, you've got possibly new models for Elendil, Gil-galad, and Elrond, and all that kind of stuff. So you've got a great possibility for new models. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Have you speculated whether GW might get some second age action in? I really would like that they did. And the various games that are out, I really would be interested to see if there's going to be any second age based games. There's a whole load of stuff there that hasn't really been explored, and I'd be interested to see. I really hope the writers of the new show don't mess it up. There's a lot of unknowns and a lot of possibility for cock-ups, but I'm really quite excited about it. I suppose for the same reason as I enjoy The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, they are new stories in a world that I really like, and actually the world hasn't really been explored that much in terms of stories. Certainly for Star Wars, the stories are a bit thin, so they've got ways of fleshing it out and making the stories a bit more intricate and interesting, and they've definitely got that opportunity here for The Lord of the Rings. I know TV is a very different media to the written word, and Tolkien was a master at his description and his lore, and I hope they stay faithful to some of that, and I hope that the programmes are really great, and that we do get some really great Games Workshop spin-offs from whatever is creative, wherever they do, whatever armies they produce, because there's going to be battles, there's going to be armies, there's going to be intrigue, and there's going to be nasty characters and nice characters. I really hope that they can bring that to life on the tabletop. Let me know what you think, and if you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and do hang out. If you want to see more Lord of the Rings based content, do let us know in the comments, and do hang around for some more, because I'm definitely hoping to make some more as the time goes forward. But until next time on the Age of Sigmar, we'll see you soon.